Well, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on, everybody? And welcome to NFL Reactions. We have a lot of stuff we got to talk about around the National Football League that happened this weekend. We will talk to his injury. We'll talk about the Cardinals and what I tell y'all. I told y'all to pick them. Y'all didn't listen. And, Kyler Murray had a perfect passer rating. Like I said, though, we got a lot we got to talk about, from Carolina benching to Bryce Young to Dallas obviously getting absolutely smacked by the Saints to the Lions losing as well. There's a lot of stuff we got to talk about in this video. So, if you guys are new to the channel, you know what to do. Leave a like, subscribe, turn that bell on as we do our best to post on this channel every single day. With that being said, we got a lot of stuff we got to get into, so let's go ahead and do that right now. Alright, starting out with Thursday Night Football, it is Buffalo going into Miami, and man, Tua's concussion was a very serious one. If you're asking my opinion on it, I think he should retire. Regardless of if he can come back from football or not, I still think he should retire. But let's go ahead and talk about the stats for this game. Tua, before he got injured, he was not playing the best anyway. 17 of 25, 145 yards, 1 touchdown. Threw 3 interceptions before he got hurt. Skylar Thompson got in the game a little bit, 8 for 14, 80 yards as well. No touchdowns, though, and the only offensive touchdown was from Devon Achane. So there's that right there. However, let's take a look at Josh Allen. His stats were 13 of 19, 140 yards, 1 touchdown. James Cook went off again, 11 for 78 with 2 touchdowns of the day as well. And I believe kicking had like 7 of those points. So, the Bills, they get the job done as James Cook goes off for another one. Prayers up for Tua, man, as he does heal for his concussion. Up next, we have another game in which a serious concussion was involved. The 49ers going into Minnesota, and Sam Darnold looks to be that guy for Minnesota. However, we're going to talk about the 49ers first. Brock Purdy struggled, was 28 of 36, 319, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Jordan Mason had led the way for rushing, 20 carries, 100 yards, and 1 touchdown. They have officially announced that Christian McCaffrey is out for 6 weeks, by the way. Just an FYI on that one. Deebo Samuel led the way in receiving, 8 receptions for 110 yards. He is also out. And then George Kittle, he's also out, but he caught 1 touchdown before he got out as well. Kittle's concussion was very serious, and he got carted off the field, or his injury, not concussion, as he got carted off the field as well in that game. So prayers are up for Deebo, CMC, and George Kittle as well. However, taking a look at the winning side in the Minnesota Vikings, Sam Darnold, once again, 17 of 28, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception on the day. A great day for him. Justin Jefferson, 4 receptions, 133 yards, with a 97-yard bomb from Sam Darnold for a touchdown on the day as well. The man went off, which is why I'm getting his jersey when I go to LSU, no doubt about that one. The defense played really well for Minnesota as well, and then Will Reitgard for Minnesota kicking 11 of those points. But the Vikings look to be back, as they are now 2-0 to start the year with Sam Darnold at the quarterback spot. Moving on to the next game, of course, that is New England hosting Seattle in an overtime thriller of a game. We will talk about this game. Jacoby Brissett was 15 of 27, 149 yards and 1 touchdown. He was the main reason I think that the Patriots lost, and we're going to start asking the question soon. When is it going to be time for Drake May to come in the game if you are a New England Patriot fan? Ramondre Stevenson had 1 touchdown on the day, 21 of 81 yards as well. Antonio Gibson led the way in rush yards with 96 as Polk caught 1 of the touchdowns, but Hunter Henry led the way with 108 receiving yards on the day as well. We will take a look at the receiving side of things now, as Seattle and Geno Smith was 33 of 44, 327 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions on the day. Zach Charbonnet had a rushing touchdown on the day as well. I don't think Kenneth Walker played at all. But DK, have yourself a day. He had himself a day, that is for sure. 10 receptions, 130 yards, 1 touchdown on the day. The man went off in fantasy. If you started him this week, I'm sure you were glad that happened. And I was glad because I started him in fantasy this week as well. And then Jason Myers kicked 11 of those points, as well as the Seattle Seahawks get the job done in New England, 23-20 in overtime. Next, you got the Giants going into Washington and losing. This is one of those teams for the Commanders. While Danny Jones always puts on a show for them, however, they are not able to beat them this time. We will look at Daniel Jones' stats first. 16 of 28, 178 yards, 2 touchdowns on the day, so not a very bad performance from him. Devin Singletary had 1 touchdown on the day as well. Malik Neighbors had a receiving touchdown, led the way with 10 receptions for 127 yards as they fail to beat the Washington Commanders. Taking a look at the Commanders side of things, Jaden Daniels, the rookie quarterback, was 23 of 39, 226 yards, 0 touchdowns on the day as well. I believe 21 points came from their freaking kicker. That is absolutely wild, as all the points were scored by their kicker. But that regardless, they get the win and beat the New York Giants. Up next, we got the game I don't even want to talk about right now, but I guess I got to. LA going into Carolina and beating them. Yeah, Bryce Young has been benched. And I think it's the right move. I really do. I think what David Canales is trying to do here is work on Bryce Young's fundamentals before he gets into another game. Obviously, he threw an interception on that drive, the first drive of the game, I believe. He was 18 of 26. He had 84 freaking yards of offense. That is, that's devastating, as Eddie Pinheiro was the only highlight, kicking 3 points, and J.C. Horn's interception was pretty cool as well. But Justin Herbert was 14 of 20, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. J.K. Dobbins had a rushing touchdown. Quentin Johnson went off, the worst receiver in the league, of course. Ladd McConkey only having 26 yards of offense as well. And then their kicker, Cameron Dicker, kicked 8 points on the day as well. So, congratulations, Chargers. You beat up on a very sorry Panthers team. Next, you got another game I really don't want to talk about either, but I guess we got to. New Orleans going into Dallas and putting some freaking points on Dallas as well. New Orleans, probably the favorites to win the NFC South right now, if you're asking me. However, Dak Prescott was 27 of 39, 293 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. He did kind of have a struggling day, but any other team with this stat line, other than the 2 interceptions, I think would have won the game, if you're asking me. CeeDee Lamb, 1 touchdown reception, 4 receptions for 90 yards in the day, led the team in receiving. Brandon Aubrey, 13 of those 16 points came from him. As we take a look at the Saints side of things, Derek Carr was 11 for 16, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Alvin Kamara was 20 carries, 115 yards with 3 touchdowns, and Derek Carr had a rushing touchdown on the day as well. Shaheed had 1 receiving touchdown on the day. Chris Olave, 4 receptions for 81 yards. Alvin Kamara had a receiving touchdown. They were getting everybody involved on the offense, and that's just kind of how it goes with Blake Grupe kicking 11 of his points. And the Saints beat the Dallas Cowboys and are now 2-0 on the year and the favorites to win the South. Next, I didn't watch any of this game. The Colts going into Green Bay and failing to get the job done. I had them winning this game because I didn't expect Malik Willis to do as good as he did. But we're going to take at the Colts first, though, as Anthony Richardson was 17 of 34, 204 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. Jonathan Taylor, JT, had 103 yards over 12 carries. And then Alex Pierce caught the 1 touchdown on the day as well. Now let's look at the Packers side of things, as Malik Willis was 12 of 14, 122 yards, 1 touchdown on the day as well. Josh Jacobs, 151 yards on the day. And Dontayvion Wicks, I believe is how you say that name, had 1 receiving touchdown on the day as well. I have never heard of him either, as the Packers and Brandon Narveson, the kicker, had 10 of those points as well. So Packers get the job done. Malik Willis looks to be your guy, at least for the time being, until Jordan Love can return. Up next, you got the Jacksonville Jaguars falling to the Cleveland Browns. And I don't want to talk about this game either, that is for sure, because I had Jacksonville winning this game by a landslide. Trevor Lawrence was 14 of 30, 220 yards with 0 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Travis Etienne had 1 rushing touchdown on the day. And the rookie wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr., 2 receptions, 94 yards as well. Looking at Deshaun Watson, had kind of a bounce-back day for him. 22 of 34, 186 yards on the day. He also had a rushing touchdown as well, with Jerry Jeudy leading the way with 73 yards. And their kicker, of course, Dustin Hopkins, kicking 10 of those points. A lot of kickers this week doing what kickers do best as the Browns get the job done and bounce back as they are now 1-1 on the year. Up next, you got the next game, and I got this one right. I said the Jets are going to walk into Tennessee and beat them, and that's exactly what happened. We'll take a look at Aaron Rodgers next, but first we will start with Will Levis, as he was 20 of 28 for the most part, 192 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, so not a bad day for him. Calvin Ridley had a rushing touchdown on the day. That's kind of weird. But he also had a receiving touchdown on the day as well and led the team in receiving with 77 yards. So whoever told you to not start Calvin Ridley in fantasy was lying to you, as he looks like he can score some points right there. With Nick Folk kicking 5 of those points for the Titans as well. Let's go ahead and look at Aaron Rodgers, as he was 18 of 30. 175 yards, 2 touchdowns on the day for him. Brandon Allen had 1 touchdown. Breece Hall had 1 touchdown. And Braylon Allen also had a receiving touchdown on the day as well, as the Jets offense and Greg Zuerlein kicked 6 of those points as well. So good job on the Jets as they get the job done. Prove me right as they can win some games this year. Now they're 1-1. Alright, next game up is the Lions failing to beat the Bucs. I also have the Lions winning this one, and that did not happen, as Jared Goff was 34 of 55, 307 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. The defense for the Bucs is what got them that win, if you're asking me. David Montgomery had the lone rushing touchdown of the day with 1 touchdown, but Jahmyr Gibbs led the team in yards with 84 on the day as well. And then the kicker kicked 10 of those points for the Lions as well. Baker Mayfield was 12 of 19, 185 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Also had a rushing touchdown on the day, and Chris Godwin scored a touchdown on the day and led the team in receiving with 117 yards as well. So good on the Bucs, as they're 2-0, but look to compete with the Saints, as that matchup is going to be a fun one when it arrives. Up next, you got the Ravens falling to the Raiders in an upset of the week. That was absolutely crazy. Let's talk Lamar Jackson first, as he was 21 of 34, 47 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Derrick Henry also had a rushing touchdown, and Zay Flowers had a receiving touchdown and led the team in receiving. However, if you take a look, it is where their defense kind of sold this game, but Justin Tucker doing what he does best and kicking 11 of those points. Let's talk Gardner Minshew, as he was 30 of 38, 276 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception on the day. A phenomenal day for Gardner Minshew II. And Zamir White led the team in rushing with 24 carries, but Alexander Mattison scored the 1 rushing touchdown on the day as well, as Devontae caught a receiving touchdown. 110 yards on the day for him as well. And their kicker, Daniel Carlson, coming up clutch, the Auburn boy. 114 yards, or 14 points, and was 100% on the day. And the Raiders upset the Ravens in a phenomenal game. Next, you got the game I was 100% right on. I said Kyler Murray would bounce back this week, and he bounced back in dramatic fashion, and we'll talk about that one in a second. But let's go ahead and talk about Matthew Stafford, as he was 19 of 27, 216 yards, 0 touchdowns on the day. Kyron Williams had the lone rushing touchdown of the day for the Rams, as Joshua Carley, the kicker, kicked 4 points. However, let's take a look at Kyler Murray, as he was 17 of 21, 266 yards, 3 touchdowns, a perfect QBR rating, as that has been sent to the Hall of Fame, and they will induct that one as well. James Conner had 122 yards rushing and 1 touchdown on the day, as Marvin Harrison Jr., 4 receptions for 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Elijah Higgins also caught a touchdown as well. And the kicker, Matt Prater, kicking 11 of those points for the Arizona Cardinals, as they get the job done at home against the Rams and are now, I believe, 1-1 on the year. Next, you got the very boring game of the week. That is the Steelers going into Denver and Bo Nix struggling. We will take a look at Bo Nix first, as he was 20 of 35, 246 yards, 2 interceptions on the day, as the kicker scored all 6 of those points for Will Lutz, and that was the only bright spot of the offense for them. However, Justin Fields, 13 of 20, 117 yards, 1 touchdown, holding it down until Russell Wilson can come back, as Najee had 70 yards on the day as well, and Darnell Washington had the lone receiving touchdown for the Steelers as well. And Chris Boswell kicking 7 of those points as the Steelers improve their record to 2-0 on the year and are back to the Mike Tomlin way. Last but certainly not least of the 325 window, the Cincinnati Bengals going into Arrowhead and narrowly falling to the Chiefs. However, we're going to take a look at Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals real quick, as he was 23 of 36, 258 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions on the day for him. And rushing was the leading receiver was Mike Gesicki, as well as Jamar Chase had 35 yards, was relatively quiet. But the kicker, Evan McPherson, kicking 13 of those points. However, I will say before I move on to the Chiefs, as that pass interference, I think the first one it was definitely not pass interference, but the second one absolutely was, and Chiefs won that game by 1 point. But Mahomes kind of struggled. He was 18 of 25, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. There were some turnovers in there. Pikachu is now hurt, 90 carries on the day of him, so prayers are up for Isaiah Pikachu as well. As Rashee Rice had 1 receiving touchdown on the day, but their kicker, Harrison Butker, kicking 8 of those points. As the Kansas City Chiefs are now 2-0 on the year, and the Bengals are 0-2 to start the year off. Bengals and Ravens don't know what's going on with you. And last but certainly not least, on Sunday Night Football, we had the Bears going into the Texans, and the Texans getting the job done, as they are now 2-0 on the year and first place in the AFC South. My boy CJ Stroud right there. However, we got to take a look at Caleb Williams. As Caleb Williams, 23 of 37, 175 yards, 2 interceptions on the day. He did struggle. Khalil Herbert had a rushing touchdown on the day. Been a while since I've heard that name. And receiving, DJ Moore led the way with 53 yards. And their kicker scoring 7 of those points as well. However, CJ Stroud, 23 of 36, 260 yards, 1 touchdown on the day for him, as Cam Akers led the way in rushing 32 yards as well for 7 carries. Nico Collins looks like a grown man, as he had 8 receptions, 135 yards, 1 touchdown on the day as well. And then their kicker, Fairburn, kicking 13 of those points as well. So Texans get the job done and improve their record to 2-0, as they are now first place in the NFC South. And last but certainly not least, the final game of the weekend, Falcons beating the Eagles on a very thrilling last drive of the game. We'll talk Eagles first. Jalen Hurts, 20 of 30, 183 yards, 1 touchdown on the day, with 1 interception on the day. Saquon had 95 yards, and Devontae Smith was their leading receiver at 1 touchdown as well for him. Kirk Cousins, 20 of 29, 241 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bijan had 97 yards and I believe no touchdowns on the day for him, but Darnell Mooney catching a touchdown and leading the way in receiving for them as well. Great final drive from the Falcons. They are now 2-0, I believe, or no, they're actually 1-1 on the year. They lost to the Steelers. Let's see if they can bounce back next week and get the job done as well. But the Eagles finally lose, and yeah, it's a great day to be a Cowboys fan. Anyway, of course, that is where I'm going to cut it for today's video, final video of the day. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn that bell on, as we do our best to post on this channel every single day. With that being said, I'm going to hop off, get this edited so you guys can watch it on time. Have a great rest of your day, and as always, I will see you all in the next video. Peace.